Boy, I tell you, people, it just keeps coming, man. It just keeps coming. I had someone comment and tell me about this, but I just stumbled upon the video, upon the news clip. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to show you the news clip. I don't know how it's going to come across on video, but I'm going to try to with my phone. I figure instead of making an edited video, I'm just going to try to come out with it and warn people. But, earlier I did a live and I just deleted it because I'm going to make this one because of this, in light of this new information. But it's, there's so many different things happening all at once. It's literally chaos and confusion, in my opinion. And you have not a lot of evidence for each thing that they're saying is happening when it comes to, bird flu. There's a good amount of people that are being monitored by CDC and things like that, and then you have the surge in the COVID cases and all that whatnot. Then you have the monkeypox and the different things happening with that. Then you have this oropouche fever, or what they call the sloth flu, and then now they got a new one that they're calling EEE. Okay, and I want to try to show you this clip right here. I don't know if I can fully get you to see this here, but I'm going to try. Okay, hold on one second here. I'm going to try to show you this. I dimmed the brightness down so you can see it a little better. All right, check this out.
Oxford, Massachusetts, and 3 neighboring towns have a reason for concern as mosquitoes carrying a potentially deadly virus called Eastern Equine Encephalitis, or Triple E, infected a resident who is now fighting for his life.
We don't want to see another human case of Triple E this year.
The rare but dangerous disease can cause swelling in the brain. There's no treatment and anyone can get infected. The death rate is as high as 30%.
Even if you do survive, usually there are long-term significant health impacts, neurological impacts.
Oxford has been declared a critical risk for Triple E, prompting health department officials to recommend a 6 p.m. curfew for outdoor activities, including club sports.
These are recommendations. They're not hard and stop requirements.
Sarah Fournier is also worried her children's sport.
Yeah, so it's not required, but they're saying that they want to try to implement a 6 p.m. curfew and all this stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you, during the first lockdown, we had a lot of the same spoon feeding going on, a lot of the same spoon feeding stuff going on, with the first lockdown and how they really slowly implemented it and spoon fed it to the public, and that's exactly what this is to me. It almost reminds me play for play on how they went about the first lockdown and as to what's happening right now. So I mean, you got the mole flu there in Sweden. You have the surge in COVID-19. You have the monkeypox and the bird flu and the oropouche, or AKA sloth fever or sloth flu. Now you got Triple E that's happening. I mean, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? What is going on? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. They're literally grabbing for straws for anything that could work, anything that could take hold, and dig its heels into society and start getting people sick. I mean, there's only one person that's been sick with this. There's only it's some new illness that's mosquito borne in Massachusetts. There's like 6 different towns plus Oxford, Massachusetts, that want to go on lockdown, or not, at 6 p.m. They want a curfew, which is a form of a lockdown. And it just, I'll be honest with you, as soon as I seen it, I mean, I've been saying this for a while, that they're going to try to eventually lock us down. And this is how they slowly implement it. They start to scare people and worry people about all these different diseases and things like that. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know exactly what's happening. I don't know anybody with any specific illness, but I do know that there are people getting sick. I was told by someone that I trust very heavily. You know what I mean? But she stated that in the state of Wisconsin, that her husband knows a lady that her mom got some kind of a stomach bug, okay? And the doctors literally told her she had 48 hours to live, and she only lasted 12 until she passed away. Now, I'll be honest with you, if there's some kind of virus or sickness or something like that that's causing things like that to happen, but they're talking about things like this and bird flu and sloth flu and mole flu and bird flu and you know what I mean? But not talking about something like that. It's like they're making a big deal out of all of this stuff, but then they're letting all this other stuff go under the radar. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I was talking earlier today about this television show, and I am not promoting this television show. It's a very graphic show. And I'll be honest with you, it's downright gory in some parts, but as a watchman, some people, some of us watchmen have to see things and deal with things so we can show you or warn you of the propaganda that's within stuff. Something that my buddy who is ex-Illuminati told me a long time ago, that they put distasteful things in movies and whatnot to keep Christians out of it. You know what I mean? They literally will put something gory or they'll put something sexual in a movie on purpose to try to keep Christians from moving past that point in a book or in a movie or anything like that. And so he said that they do that on purpose. It's absolutely on purpose. But there is a television show. I was talking to Global News Wars about it yesterday, actually. There's a television show called The Strain. All right. It was aired on FX, which is like a sister company to the Fox network. But it's called The Strain. And it's Guillermo del Toro is the guy who produces it. All right. And I think he's also the one that wrote the books. I'm not 100% sure. There's books, there's comic books to this thing. And it's really, really odd. All right. The similarities between, and I got notes here, the similarities between this TV show and actually what's happening now. It's eerily similar. This show came on the air like 10 years ago. They finished it up 10 years ago. There was 4 seasons. In the beginning of the show, right off the bat, in the first season of The Strain, okay, they had an eclipse, all right, and we just got done having an eclipse, okay, in April, okay, and this eclipse did touch the New York area, from what I understand, ish, kind of, but in this TV show, this eclipse is seen in New York. Is there anybody in New York in here that would be willing to tell us whether the eclipse had, actually I have the map right here. Wait a second. I just reminded myself. Hold on one second. So, yeah, absolutely. Right there. If you look, this eclipse did touch New York right there. You got Buffalo and all that stuff right in the path of the eclipse. So in this television show, okay, an eclipse happened, all right, and then, okay, the elite that were kind of helping, and it's basically, I mean, I don't know any other way to tell you guys this except just to tell you guys this. You guys are going to have to understand, I believe in Jesus Christ and all this stuff, but there are people who don't. And I'm kind of, as I explain this television show, because I'm telling you, there's something about it. There's something about it, folks. They are telling you absolutely what they're going to do. And in this show, and it's there's more and more and I'll be honest with you, I've been watching it, and as I go through it more and more, there's just more and more and more that lines up with what's happening now. But the elite in the show are definitely part of the conspiracy. It's a very vast-reaching conspiracy, and these elite are absolutely helping basically Satan go and move forward with a pandemic. Okay, and it starts in New York, on this TV show called The Strain. All right, and basically what happens is it's supposed to be vampires, but if you just take the vampire out of the equation and the idea of what a vampire is out of the equation and put, say, the word demonic entity into that, I mean, you absolutely have what seems to be happening now. But so this eclipse happens. but the elite are hiring people to do like especially groups of hackers to slow the internet down, cause cell phone disruptions, cause internet disruptions. And I'm telling you, folks, we have had so much of that lately happening. All right, where we had the AT&T thing that happened with the SIM card update, and then this I don't know if Global News Wars is still in here, but if you what was the name of that company that was out of the Ukraine where their servers were in the Ukraine? They were like a security company, and they were responsible for this mass outage where you couldn't go get gas, you couldn't buy anything from the store, people's credit cards weren't working. All of that stuff is happening in the movie The Strain. In the beginning, CrowdStrike. Thank you, Global News Wars. The group was called CrowdStrike. Global News Wars. He's my man, man. That dude. That dude definitely helps me remember a lot of stuff that I forget. But so thank you, Dalton. I appreciate you. But so in the TV show, that's exactly what's happening. And so it's almost like the whole entire first season of the show is like New York walking around completely oblivious to the fact that this is happening. Okay, which I find very, very interesting. All right. It's like, there's an eclipse that happens, then internet outages, cell phone outages. The cell phones were spotty at best. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what's happening now. I'll be honest with you. I'm not probably the first person to say it, and I'm not going to be probably the last person to say it. But with this whole 5G upgrade, it seems like our cell service and our internet service is slower and more spotty and worse than it ever has been. All right, than what we had with 4G or even 3G. Okay, so it's like all of a sudden things are changing and internet's being slowed down. I mean, raise your hand if you have a problem with your internet being slow lately, or like I'll call my wife the other day. She went to the grocery store, and I tried to call her like 5 times, and it would not go through. It would not go through. All right. And so, like I said, in this TV show, that's exactly what's happening. And it's like society in this TV show, The Strain, was completely oblivious. And I'll be honest with you, Christians, the average Christian should not be watching this show. Okay. Extremely graphic, heavy duty graphic stuff. All right. But I'm trying to tell you what's in it so that way you don't have to go and watch it or expose yourself to something like that. Okay. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm a warrior in the spirit, and I know how to pray against stuff. And this kind of stuff doesn't bother me. It's literally research I'm doing so that way I can bring you the predictive programming and what's kind of, what they're trying to say that they're, involved with, and they tell you what they're going to do. And so anyways, like I said, in the TV show, people are completely oblivious to what's happening. There are people that are like shouting from the rooftops throughout this first season of this show, The Strain, saying, this pandemic's coming, this pandemic's coming, this pandemic's coming. And everybody's just going about their business. Cab drivers are picking up people, dropping people off. And no one's really starting to get the big picture until one day, all of a sudden, that's every man for himself. Every man for himself. You know what I mean? And that's something that I notice about it. But I mean, it even comes down to in the TV show itself, like, how you always pay attention in movies when in the background they have someone watching TV and the news is on. They're always going to tell you a little snippet of information in those situations. And in one of these situations, in The Strain, they have the news on, the TV's on, and they're watching it in this room. And it's talking about, 23 bank failures and all this different stuff. It sounds really familiar. And now think about it. There's an eclipse. There's technological problems that are happening, all over the place. And then, there's bank failures. All these things are happening right now. And it's all leading up to a pandemic. And then in the show, people are wearing their masks. And this was before COVID. This was before COVID. Good for you, Tammy Grant. Good for you. Amen. But that's everybody's personal decision whether you want to do that or not. But what I'm telling you about a TV show that was made over 10 years ago, the first season was like 14 years ago when they made the first season of this. And everybody's wearing a mask and coughing and all that stuff everywhere that they go. All right. They're definitely projecting a sickness And I don't think it's the whole COVID pandemic, because during that time there wasn't disruptions of the internet or anything like that. I'm going to be honest with you, as an artist, okay, I had a business during the first pandemic, and I mean, it was booming online. I had no problem filling orders and shipping off prints and all this stuff of the different paintings that I was doing at the time, and things were going just fine. I had no problems whatsoever. There wasn't bank failures or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not talking about, there was no eclipse the first, pandemic that we had. Now we have an eclipse. The trigger for the whole entire show, in the show The Strain, is the eclipse. Is literally the eclipse. And their logo for the show is like that, that kind of circle, with the dark center, and then it has the lit up, outer edges. That's like the eclipse. That's part of their logo for that show, is the eclipse. And so I'm telling you, you can't uh, um, neglect the facts that are kind of like right in front of us. They've been planning this for a long time. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to talk about a couple of things here that I did talk about earlier. There's a bunch of people that are here that weren't here earlier, and like I said, I deleted the old video because I did plan on making this one. And so we've known for about 3.5 weeks now, okay, I'm saying this, 3.5 weeks now, that they have plans. This is the word on the street, that in September, okay, they're going to start implementing vaccine cards again in the European Union, in the EU, okay, and that's your UK and all these different places, all right, that are in that area. Like there's some, I think there's like 20 nations or something like that, that are all going to implement this vaccine card stuff. I mean, anyways, you have, like I told you before many times, but like I said, there's a lot of new people here. There is a medical company, and this is right straight from the horse's mouth. One of my sources, absolutely accurate. What I'm telling you, this is not a lie. This is absolutely accurate information. There's a medical supplies manufacturing company called McKesson that's sending trains that have 20 of these shipping containers a day. And from what I understand, it has not stopped. I'm asking all the time, has these shipping containers stopped? Are they doing anything different? And like, no, it's just full steam ahead. 20 shipping containers a day on this train from Chicago to Georgia, which is where the CDC headquarters is in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. And then they take these shipping containers off the train and put them on a semi flatbed, and then they drag them off, take them to their location. But inside these 53-foot long, 10-foot wide, 12-foot tall containers, there is absolutely, it is packed to the brim with COVID test kits. I'm about to tell you some news here. Some of you might have already heard this, but it's packed to the brim with COVID test kits, all right, and vaccination cards. Now, listen to this from CNBC. It says here, this was yesterday that this was brought out, and I told you a couple of weeks ago about these about these shipping containers with COVID test kits. It says right here, U.S. will again offer free at-home COVID tests starting in late September. There's that September again, just like in the UK, they're going to implement vaccine cards. They're just not telling you yet in America, but the companies that are making the medical supplies know that the shipping, that are shipping this stuff know that it's coming. All right, they're in on it. All right, but it says right here, you're going to be able to get free at-home COVID tests starting in late September. All right, it says right here, and I'm just going to read kind of the shorter part of this. The Biden administration on Friday said it will resume offering free at-home COVID-19 tests to American households in late September as the virus has gained a stronger foothold in the U.S. this summer. Americans will soon be able to use covidtest.gov to request 4 free tests, administration officials told reporters during a briefing. The tests will be able to detect the COVID variants that are currently circulating, or they'll be able to implant something, and you shove it up your nose, that are currently circulating, most of which are descendants of the highly contagious Omicron variant JN.1. These tests will help keep families and their loved ones safe this fall because, it's a cure for COVID, right? No, it's not. These tests will help keep families safe and their loved ones safe this fall and winter season. Don O'Connell, an Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response at the Health and Human Services Department, said during the briefing, this is the 7th time over the last 3 years that the Biden-Harris administration has given families the opportunity to order the over-the-counter COVID-19 tests for free through the government's website. The government's program has provided more than 1.8 billion free over-the-counter COVID test kits to Americans since it started in 2021, according to O'Connell. So that's kind of the shorter version. But I'm telling you, folks, I told you that they had COVID tests that they're stocking up on. There's the news that covers what I'm talking about with the McKesson company. I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth as to what's really going on, play by play. And then now, you have Massachusetts. You got like 6 or 7 different cities that are wanting to implement a 6 p.m. curfew. All right, for this EEE virus that's mosquito-borne that causes swelling of the brain, and there's no treatment for it, and there's a 30% kill rate with this thing. Only one person's got it, but everybody's like, all right, we're ready to let you lock us down at 6 p.m. at night. That is a partial lockdown. I remember, and raise your hand if you remember the partial lockdowns with the first pandemic. Do you remember? I hope people even say, I remember. If you remember the partial lockdowns that they started, it was choppy at first, and then all of a sudden, all right, we're doing a full lockdown. You know what I mean? Thank you, Rapture Head. I appreciate the hands up. But that's exactly what they were doing in the beginning of it last time. And I told you that they plan. Thank you, friend of the people. I appreciate your hands up. I've told you that they're going to implement another lockdown. All right. I've shared these dreams with you that I've had for quite some time. I had the first dream about 4 years ago, and the second dream was not long after the first. All right. So for 4 years, I've known about this thing because I know the Lord showed me that. I absolutely know. But the one thing that I didn't really exactly see is what specific kind of virus caused a lockdown. I just knew that China was involved a little bit because of the chunk of jade, and anybody who watches this channel a lot knows what I'm talking about when I say this. But something in my mind cannot neglect the fact that they had that warehouse in California that was packed to the brim with all sorts of blood and all sorts of different things that they were experimenting with, COVID test kits and all that stuff. Ring a bell? Does that ring a bell? And I'll tell you right, yeah, absolutely, Brittany. This time they're not going to let up the lockdown. This time they won't let up the lockdown. This is the big one. This is the big one. I'm warning you. This is the big one. I saw 2 major lockdowns in my dream. All right, we already went through the first one. The second one's about to happen, and I'm not saying that as in like I'm proud that it's going to happen. I don't want to be right. I don't want to see any of this come to pass. But I am absolutely sure that we are on the fast track towards something here. Hold on one second. That's something else I want to bring up is that I don't know if you all remember Aaron Russo. Do you guys remember Aaron Russo? Raise your hand if you remember Aaron Russo. All right, do a hand emoji. You got the emojis down at the bottom there on the live chat. Give me a hands up if you remember Aaron Russo. And I remember the interview that guy had. Okay, I remember the interview that guy had, and he had befriended one of the Rockefellers, like cousins, some weird little short stubby guy. All right, and he was like telling him, he's like, oh, we have these plans to microchip everybody. And that's not this. That's not this. It has nothing to do with what's inside of this. All right. This is, the Antichrist causes all free and bond, rich and poor to take a mark, or the false prophet causes people to take a mark in the right hand or the forehead that, anybody that buy nor sell, or that nobody can buy nor sell unless they have the mark. All right. But this guy was telling Aaron Russo, we plan to microchip everybody, but here's the kicker. All right. Here's the kicker. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now, folks. All right, that he was talking about before they implement the microchip, all right, the actual mark of the beast. He says, we're going to force people to take medical cards. They're going to have medical cards that they're going to have to take. All right. And that's that vaccine card. That vaccine card is the first step. That's going to have your microchip in it, that if you don't have that and you don't scan that at the grocery store, all right, they are literally paying people and bailing people out that are looting the stores. Okay. They're absolutely paying these people to go into Walmart, Target, wherever, it doesn't matter what store it is. People are looting in mass, and they're just getting away with things scot-free. They get arrested, they get right out, and they go back and they do it again. And they keep doing it. There are some stores that their protocol is that you're not allowed to arrest anybody that robs your store, or that's shoplifting from your store. And it's so that way they can implement locking down their merchandise. If you don't have looters looting everything, okay, you can't have all of a sudden people can be like, why are you locking everything up, bro? Why is there AI? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was in Walmart the other day, and I literally look up, and this is something completely new to me. I was in the clearance section with my wife, and I look up, and there's a TV monitor looking at me with the box around my face, analyzing my face. They literally have AI in almost every aisle. You know what I mean? And they have, I literally saw a video today where the whole entire aisle of it was like dish soap and Kleenex and stuff like that was literally behind heavy duty plexiglass. The whole entire, both rows all the way down were completely locked up. And so this is what it's going to come down to. If you ain't got this, if you ain't got to do with any of that, you don't get your card. That's the first step towards the mark of the beast. This thing, the whack scene is what I'm going to call it. All right. That has nothing to do with the mark of the beast. The third temple isn't here yet. The two witnesses aren't here yet. You don't have an Antichrist yet that's been announced. You don't even have a false prophet that's been announced. That's absolutely, the Illuminati's already chosen. The Roman Catholic Pope will be the false prophet. But it's going to be the false prophet, the Roman Catholic Pope, all right, that's going to announce everybody has to take this mark. You don't have an abomination of desolation. You don't have an iconic image, okay, that's talking and deciding whether people live or die in Israel yet, okay? You don't have a third temple even there, okay? But these are the precursors, and they're getting the laws in place. They're getting the systems in place so they can implement the mark of the beast, okay? That's exactly what all this is about, with them allowing all the looters and them losing so much money that they're going to lock up every item in every store. They got pharmacies now where they got pictures of the items on the glass, and unless you scan something, the door don't open and allow you to even take an ice cream out of the cabinet. That is absolutely them doing that. They have hand scanners. What is it? Not Good Foods, but Whole Foods. Whole Foods, I think, is the company. Global News Wars, isn't that where you shop down there? Yeah, I think it's Whole Foods. Okay, where I think it's I'm pretty sure that it's Seattle and Washington D.C. where you have to literally scan your palm print to even get in the store. Right there. Yeah. Okay. Whole Foods has an Amazon hand scanner, and they're implementing these all over the country. This is your mark of the beast. The cameras that are at every single intersection in your city that have AI facial recognition software, the cameras that are intermittently all placed throughout the highways that you're driving on. This is your beast system, folks. All right. And they're getting it all set up. Your roundabout checkpoints. All right. Those roundabouts, each and every single one of them are a checkpoint. They're either just over the hill or they're just around the corner, just out of sight, out of mind. But you get too close, you're already, in their sights. And when they got a tank sitting on that thing, or two tanks pointing each way, you know what I'm saying? And soldiers all the way around it with a tent in the middle, and them taking your IDs and, can I see your papers, please? It's literally a whole lot like Nazi Germany now. You know what I'm saying? And I almost start to wonder if the next president, whichever who it is, that gets into power is going to be America's first dictator. I really start to wonder that. And I'm not on any political side because I don't care about politics. All right, but I do think that I would rather not see Kamala Harris get in. I think that's one of the people that they definitely want to pull some strings. Let me tell you, folks, because if you're against her, you're a chauvinist, or if you're against her, you're a racist. You see what I'm saying? They'll play that card with that sort of stuff. And so we're definitely getting to a point where they're implementing the beast system. They need another pandemic, whether it's real or not. I mean, they could literally just be turning the dial up on the 5G. You know what I'm saying? They literally could just be turning the dial up on the 5G. That could be what all of this is. high frequency radiation sickness that people are having. Go look up the symptoms of radiation sickness on Google. You know what I mean? Get up and go look at Google and look up radiation sickness, like electromagnetic radiation sickness. All right. I mean, they got videos of this 5G stuff, and they got a tree right next to it. The tree that's halfway towards the 5G tower is completely dead. And then the other side, it has a few green leaves, a few leaves on it, but the tree, majority of it's dead. You have literally like birds landing near these things and just dropping to the ground dead. I watched a guy flying his drone up to a 5G tower. It fell to the ground and smoke started to sizzle off of the drone. And you could hear the battery basically melting. You see what I'm saying? Like, this stuff is dangerous, right? And so when they turn that up, man, the first I'll put it to you this way: the first city they rolled out 5G was in Wuhan, China, back in the 2020, 2021 time frame. They were rolling that out back in Wuhan, China. You know what I mean? But they've been telling you in movies all along what they're going to do. They have a lot of other movies that definitely predicted that whole fiasco. The movie, like what was it? Contagion. You know what I mean? It was all about, like, in one of them Asian countries where, there was a meat market or something like that. And that's what they claimed at first, that it was some, bat from some meat market, when we really know, the virology lab that it was from. And I already stated the name of the city, and that's the name of the virology lab. But they projected that in that movie, and you had a lockdown. You see what I'm saying? In that movie, they already covered their bases with that. But the strain, I'm telling you, that's something different. That's like a paradigm shift. I don't know if you guys know what a paradigm shift is. The New Agers will have their their explanation and and whatnot for what a paradigm shift is. But I'm telling you right now, a paradigm shift is mass demonic possession. All right, people are getting awfully weird nowadays. Awfully weird. Someone's your friend one minute and they're your enemy the next. They turn on you like a junkyard dog, is what it kind of seems like. Your family members, your own family members in your own house, turn on you like junkyard dogs. It seems like people aren't even themselves anymore. And I'm telling you, I don't know if you know what a Gwyn tower is, GWINN tower, a Gwyn tower, but they put those things back up during World War II, and it was a psychological warfare against the American public. You know what I mean? And now they got the 5G towers. I mean, I have one right outside my house it's fashioned as a street light, but on top of it, they try to make it seem like it's solar. Man, the thing ain't solar. You can see the wire going up to the top of the electrical pole. It's hardwired in. That thing is 5G right there, and it's got a little node on top of it, a black thing about this tall. I mean, from what I can see, it's about this tall and about that big around. All right, right on top of the light itself. You know what I mean? And like I said, what's interesting, Global Newsworth, thank you for bringing that up, bro. Thank you for bringing that up. There's a couple more things I want to talk about this TV show, The Strain, okay, is that when people get bit in the show The Strain, you know how like in The Walking Dead or whatever, people get bit, they turn into zombies. Well, in this one, it's like people get bit, and they turn into this like drone, this demonic drone that's mindless and easy to manipulate. All right. And instead of regular red blood that's within these people, it's white blood. Okay. And what's also interesting is there's these worms that they're pulling out of people all throughout the first season of the show. And it reminds me, and I'm going to say this backwards, I don't know if you guys have seen that documentary on Rumble, and if you haven't, you need to. It's called Suddenly Died. Reverse that, put one word over the other, but it's Suddenly Died. Go watch that documentary, and the things that they're pulling out of people are literally like long tapeworms that are supposed to be clots or whatever, but then people are finding out that it's similar to like what Nightlev is saying right here in the live chat. Okay, and I'm going to let him say it for me because I have to watch what I say as a channel. But it's really weird. They're pulling these long, stringy things out of people in the movie The Strain, and then they're pulling long, stringy things out of people in real life that have done this. You see what I'm saying? And now getting past that, Global News Wars was just talking about the purple lights, the UV lights that are being placed all over the place. Does anybody know what I'm talking about when I say that? Raise your hand. If you do, I would like to know if people know what I'm talking about. But there are absolutely these purple UV lights that are all over the place. Well, in the movie The Strain, in the TV show The Strained, okay, hello, Katrina Hops. I haven't seen you for a while. I was literally praying for you the other day, thinking of you, sister. But anyways, in the TV show The Strain, they're using UV lights to combat these things. They're using UV lights to expose what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, like if there's worms inside of people moving around, they use the UV light and they can see the thing, the worm moving around inside of the people with the UV light. And if there's a big emphasis on UV lights, you see what I'm saying? And so I am glad that people know what I'm talking about when I say that stuff. But it's absolutely all jam-packed into this television show, The Strained. Now, if you want to watch it, and you're a grown adult, and you're a strong Christian, and you know Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, I'm not going to tell you not to watch it because it lines up with everything, but it is absolutely brutally graphic in some parts. Like, it is straight messed up. But it also has that World War II narrative. Jews and Nazis and all that stuff, that's kind of sprinkled in there as well. But you can have, it's kind of like, I'll be honest with you, how many of you people know that The Matrix is probably one of the best analogies for the great conspiracy, okay, that's probably ever been, made, a movie that's ever been made. You know what I'm saying? Hold on one second. So it's probably one of the greatest analogies that's out there about, like, Morpheus is the false prophet, Neo is the Antichrist, the robots are the demons and the fallen angels, and the AI that's behind it all is obviously Lucifer, and the town that they all live in underground is called Zion, which is Israel, and he talks about destroying Israel. You see what I'm saying? And all in the ship that Morpheus drives is the Nebuchadnezzar, which is who was the king of Babylon. You know what I mean? A lot of analogy there. I'm telling you right now, I have never seen another movie or TV show that is as lined up with what's coming as The Strain is compared to The Matrix. They literally are like two peas in a pod when it comes to movies. And I'll be honest with you, I was like, I've been doing a lot of research on like who created it and all that stuff. Still learning. But something I noticed is that a lot of the reviews about it was that it was very underrated. It never got a lot of playtime. It never got really big. It wasn't this show that was like ooh and ah. But it's absolutely heavily graphic, heavily satanic. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sitting here watching demonic stuff. But as a watchman, it is my job to warn people to find predictive programming in movies. It's something that I do. It's a type of research that I do. And you wouldn't know about it unless I was watching it and telling it to you now, because this show, the first season of the show happened 14 years ago. All right. Most people that don't, hello, Mrs. End Times Talk. Good to see you, my wifey. Most people forget about these sort of things really quickly, these shows, or they don't ever get interested, or they don't watch it, or it's underrated. It's not the most popular thing to watch, like The Walking Dead is, or this or that. You know what I mean? Because that was the most, they were saying that was the most watched television show of like all time was The Walking Dead. But The Strain is literally just as full of predictive programming as The Matrix is. And I'm telling you, even down to the point where in The Strain there is like concentration camps that they eventually set up. It is a absolute 1984 dystopian future that comes upon the earth. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny. Literally, I said 1984, and my wife puts that out there. That's hilarious. But it's absolutely what's coming. And the leader part, like I said, it's a vast-reaching conspiracy. In the first season of this, the CDC is very at play. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Yes, 1984 is predictive programming, Johnny Z. Absolutely. But you know, they put stuff like out there. And so, like, I'm gonna say it to you this way. I'm gonna help you to understand what I'm talking about this way. They don't want Christians watching a show like this. That's why they make it so heavy duty. Okay? Plain and simple. All right? Absolutely the truth. They make it so heavy duty and so messed up that they would think, and so dark and heavy that they would think that a Christian couldn't push through and watch the whole entire thing. Well, I got Jesus that watches over me and protects me, and I got a flock that I need to warn. All right? And I also am a watchman on the wall, and I need to sound the alarm in the city and let people know that this stuff is happening. You know what I mean? That this stuff is happening. Exactly as they put it in the television show in the first season. An eclipse, then technological problems, then banking problems. The society is completely oblivious that a pandemic and a lockdown is coming. And boom, there it is. And then in the television show, The Strain, all right, once the lockdown happens, it's complete tyranny. These like demonic figures take over, and they're the ones that, you know, they got the armband and they're walking around, you know, making sure people stay on the sidewalk. There's literally, you know, one line going one way, one line going another way, and you go straight home or you go straight to work. It's literally what it becomes. And then they start telling people, oh, well, we're starting a farming community. I forgot what they call it in the show, but we're starting a farming community. If you're a farmer, if you want to get out in the country and experience the great outdoors once again, come on down to the farm. But the farm is a concentration camp, all right? And they don't tell you that. And once you get there, you know, you're in complete tyranny. It's even worse than what it was to begin with. But it's the majority of it is centered around New York City. And like I was saying, I showed you earlier on this eclipse map that New York is absolutely within the crosshairs of the eclipse that we just had. And I mean, you can go onto YouTube without, you know, watching the whole show and type in The Strain eclipse, and you'll see their little commercial, you know, and it says, and it's like, it shows an eclipse happen over New York City, and then it says, he is coming. Well, it's the Antichrist that's coming. That's the Antichrist that's coming. That's what they're portraying. That's what they're projecting. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry to talk so much about The Strain, but I'm trying to emphasize here on how much this lines up with what's going on. And I stumbled upon that video that I showed you earlier. For new people that are just joining this, I don't know how long my battery's going to last, but I want to try to show you this one more time, so that way people can see it. Give me a second here. Hold on one second. But they're absolutely projecting. Okay, hold on.
Oxford, Massachusetts, and 3 neighboring towns have a reason for concern as
That's weird.
mosquitoes carrying a potentially deadly virus called Eastern equine encephalitis, or
Eastern equine encephalitis is what it's called.
Fighting for his life.
We don't want to see another human case of triple E this year.
The rare but dangerous disease can cause swelling in the brain. There's no treatment, and anyone can get infected. The death rate is as high as 30%.
Even if you do survive, usually there are long-term significant health impacts, neurological impacts.
Oxford has been declared a critical risk for triple E, prompting health department officials to recommend a 6 p.m. curfew for outdoor activities, including club sports.
These are recommendations. They're not hard and stop requirements.
Sarah Fournier is also worried her children's sport.
Yeah, see, it cuts out right there, but because it's just a clip. But they're implementing a 6 p.m. curfew. You don't have to follow it if you don't want to. But like I've been telling people, and I hope that people remember, the last pandemic we had, they're counting on you forgetting the facts of how the first pandemic started, you know, because they go through pretty thoroughly and erase all those videos and all the news and stuff. We know that there's a lot of news that gets erased pretty quickly after they air it. Okay, and you go and you try to find some older stuff, and it's really hard to find nowadays. But I remember how they were doing partial lockdowns, curfews and things like that. And we're going to stop doing sporting events. And that's how it all starts. And then eventually a full lockdown comes. They give you about a week. Just to curb, 2 weeks to what was it? 2 weeks to curb the what? I forget the words they use. 2 weeks to curb the virus or whatever. And then eventually, slowly but surely, it became, 2 years of a lockdown where everybody's stuck inside. People that weren't, important personnel. That's not what they call them. But what was it? Oh man, essential worker. If you weren't an essential worker, you were at home and you were stuck, and there was people that were in rentals that weren't even paying rent at that time to their landlords or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like, yeah, 2 weeks to slow the curve. Yep, absolutely. 2 weeks to slow the curve. That is absolutely what it was. And um, and yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, people, as soon as I saw that today, I'm like, I'm going to have to delete this other live that I did earlier and go on and just talk about it again and try to go into a little more detail about this television. I'm not telling you to go watch The Strain. Okay. Like I said, it is absolutely heavy duty. I'll be honest with you, it kind of bothers me to watch it a little bit, but I'm going to push through it and I'm going to watch the whole thing again because it's absolutely, I'm trying to take down notes slowly but surely with this thing. But if you want to go through the whole live that we did, go back to the beginning of this because I almost start talking about it from the very beginning. There's a lot of different stuff in this television show that lines up with what's beginning to happen now. And there's all these pandemics that are looming. You got the sloth flu and the mole flu and the bird flu and these new COVID variants and, this COVID surge and monkeypox and now you have this triple E virus and all that stuff that's happening. And then there's a couple of different things. There's a couple of different things that they're just now releasing, and they're saying, oh, this is a thing, this is a thing, this is a thing. And I will say that a bunch of people that I know have been sick. I can't say what specific sickness because most of these people I know they ain't gonna trust a doc and go to the docs. And good for them. Good for them. Combat it your own way. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be at the doctors unless you're gonna die. But honestly, like they can only threaten us with sending us home to Jesus. You know what I mean? But I'm not trying to be a Debbie the Downer or anything like that when it comes to that. But I'm going to say this again publicly. We here at this channel believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, absolutely. And a lot of you were here during the last live, that are watching now. But I'm going to tell you, absolutely, it's a pre-tribulation rapture. But I cannot shake the fact that we could be going through a bit of a shaking here. And I likened it to, trying to wake the bride of Christ up. There's a whole bunch of people that are meant to go on the rapture that aren't spiritually ready yet. There's a whole bunch of people that are meant to know Jesus before the pre-tribulation rapture happens. And we have to get busy as the bride of Christ to go out there and get out into the world and win some souls for Jesus. You know what I mean? And do what we have been commissioned to do by Jesus himself with the time that we still have left on this earth. You know what I mean? Because it's absolutely imminent that the rapture is coming, because every detail that Jesus said to watch for that would be a sign of his coming, all right, is all happening already and has happened. It's continuing to happen. You know what I mean? These are the things that we're watching for. We know the time is very, very short that we're in right now. Time is being sped up. I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to ask this question. Raise your hand or say me if you feel that time is being sped up, that your weeks feel like days and that your months feel like a week. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm telling you right now, my day goes by so fast now. It is unreal. Me and my grandma talk about it. Me and my friends talk about it. It's like there is not enough time anymore. And it's like literally the clock is still ticking. You still have 1 second is 1 second, but Jesus controls time. God controls time. I'm telling you. And it is literally like time is being sped up. And Jesus says in the end days that time will be sped up, lest no flesh be saved. And I wonder what they would do to cause the flesh to be under attack so much that God would have to speed up time in order to save it. I mean, think about that for a moment. You see what I'm saying? And I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how fast things are moving. And obviously a bunch of people in this live chat right now are feeling the same way. We're feeling the weight of the world upon our shoulders, but you know what? Jesus wants to take that weight off your shoulders. Jesus doesn't want you to have to carry today into tomorrow. You know what I mean? Leave today with today and pick up with tomorrow where tomorrow starts, and leave today where today stops. You know what I mean? That's what we should be doing. You know what I mean? That's what we should be doing. And let's not borrow from tomorrow, and let's not borrow from yesterday. Let's be in the moment. Let's live in the moment. Let's live for today. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, the rapture's coming, but we just need to be patient and be ready for it spiritually. It says, pray that you're worthy. It says, pray that you're accounted worthy to escape all these things to come. You know what I mean? And so we need to be in alignment with Jesus, spending time with Jesus, focusing on Jesus, and not letting our guard down right now. Just a few suggestions to people, reach out to your neighbors, reach out to your coworkers, reach out to people that you talk to every day, reach out to family members that even though they might not want to listen to you, pray and ask God to change their heart. Reach out to your friends, reach out to your loved ones, reach out to your enemies. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid, because there's not much time left, not much time left at all. So I wanted to encourage you with those words before I ended this live chat and all that and whatnot. But there's it's no coincidence what's happening right now, people. And I pay close attention, because I think as these viruses and whatever they are, whether it's 5G, whatever it is, as these things begin to heat up and take a foothold, we're going to see more and more of this, like, 6 p.m. curfews and all this different stuff. Just to flatten the curve, right? Just to, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And it seems a lot like it. And I told you, once again, kind of recapping, I told you that in September, the UK or the EU wants to implement vaccine cards again. Recapping, I told you on the trains coming from Chicago to Georgia, they're packed full of vaccine cards and COVID test kits. I just read to you the news that came out yesterday. The headline is, U.S. will again offer free at-home COVID test kits starting in late September. There's your September again, okay? Something's about to happen. On October 2nd, they're holding a meeting in Washington, D.C., a pandemic preparedness meeting. And literally, I think one of the things that they're covering that I remember is how to deal with mass deaths. How to deal with mass deaths. They already got the next round of these, prepared for these new versions of different things. They already have they already have a bird flu one of these. They already have a monkeypox one of these. And if you go back and you look at all the Google patents, they were working on that stuff during the first pandemic, people. They were working on that stuff during the first pandemic. They've been planning this for a while, folks. You guys need to stay safe out there. Stay in communion with Jesus at all times. Let him be on your mind all day. Let him be on your lips all day. What I mean by that is be speaking the name of Jesus Christ with everything that you do. Live it. Don't just speak it. Don't just say it. Live it out. Walk it out. May God bless you all. May he keep you. And please don't forget to go out and change this world in which you live.